gonna go Buffalo here. We've seen over the course of the season, Buffalo's offense really hasn't looked like the prolific offense that we saw last year. Last season, Allen and Stephon Diggs were probably like the best 1-2 connection in all of football. They've been kind of off and on this year, but I think the Jets was kind of just, like with Kansas City against the Raiders and Dallas against the Falcons. I think this was kind of what the doctor ordered to try to get this offense going and firing on all cylinders. You'd like to see them maybe run a little bit more just to try to take the heat off of Josh Allen, not having him huck it, 45 times a game. But I do like that the Buffalo Bills here at home. It's November in Buffalo. It is real. Like a bunch of you have a bunch of teams that play in domes are going to be going on the road now, and it's going to be starting to get cold. And who knows? It's November. You might get lake effect snow up in Buffalo. We saw that in Green Bay against the Seattle Seahawks a little bit last week. And I love Carson Wentz. You guys know that. I love Frank Reich. I think Frank Reich has really thrown Carson Wentz into a Lazarus pit to resurrect his career. But, this offense is going through Jonathan Taylor, which is fine. They want to establish the run. They want to pound the rock. The thing that gives me pause is the Jets game, and then we saw it with Jacksonville. This defense for the Indianapolis Colts can be had. I mean, if you just looked at box score alone against the Jacksonville Jaguars, you would have thought it was kind of like a cakewalk. It really wasn't. Like, the Indianapolis Colts had to kind of kick out a two a few times to get off of the mat against a resurgent, James Robinson and even Trevor Lawrence at times. And the Jacksonville Jaguars defense was kind of better than I think a lot of people were expecting going into that game against the Colts. I do like Buffalo. They're laying 7. I think it's a little bit of a big number, but I'm going to lay the wood with Buffalo at home against the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, and Burge, before you go, I want to check on something with Puma. Puma, you watch the Bills, and you kind of follow them as a team. If you had to guess, why is it that the Buffalo Bills offense isn't in sync this year? What do you think it is? Is it just simply they're off, they're waiting for the playoffs? What do you think it is that hasn't got those guys clicking all cylinders for all, whatever 10 weeks it is now?
I think it's a mix of they've been off, and this is a league that's going to catch up to you eventually. So I think that has a lot to do with it. But I mean, we saw that against the Steelers the first week, and then we saw that against Jacksonville. I think a couple of times this year they've been, specifically week 1, they were drinking their own Kool-Aid, and it was their first home game in front of fans in about a year and a half almost. Mm-hmm. And then against Jacksonville, I think they just thought they could roll the footballs out there and just win by just showing up. And this league is just insane with literally the phrase "any given Sunday" has applied this season. And I think that was a true wake-up call. They were, a top 2 seed at that point. Now they're kind of middle of the pack in the AFC, and they have to get their shit together if they want to potentially have a game go through Buffalo this year. So I think it's just a mix of drinking their own Kool-Aid and just, rolling the footballs out there, not playing up to the competition.
Yeah, I mean, just to touch on that real quick, I think their lack of balance on offense is really catching up to them. They really have not had much of a running game all year. Singletary and Moss. I think Zach Moss has been dinged up a lot over the course of this year, and I think Josh Allen is just trying to do too much. Obviously there's multiple weeks where he is their team's leading rusher. And that's not a recipe for success in the league because teams are going to catch up to that. So I think that's part of the reason why we've seen them kind of come back down to earth. We'll say I did kind of see this in the offseason. I'm just going to say, but
What did you see? Expand on that.
I told you there was going to be a regression from that team. They were not going to be the top dog that everybody said they were going to be.
Yeah, and you pinned that directly on Josh Allen, correct?
Most of it, yes.
Okay.
But I think as this season has played out, their coaching hasn't been all that great. Obviously, the lack of the running game is front and center on that. I think that's a big deal. I mean, we saw that with a lot of the Patriots teams, in the middle of the run where they were, because they had Brady, they were able to mask a lot of their issues. But there were times when they got very unbalanced and they had no running game. It was all on Brady, and there's a reason those teams didn't go anywhere, in the playoffs. So. Anyways, getting into this game, you obviously know where I'm leaning on this one. I'm gonna go with the Colts to win this game. I look back to, obviously the defense is not the same defense it was last year. Like you said, Puma, the defense definitely can be had. Just evident just last week with how Jacksonville had a chance to win that game. But Puma, I'm on the Frank Reich train. I really am liking what he's doing there in Indianapolis. I think that Carson Wentz is really showing something this year outside of a couple of really bad throws against the Titans. He's protecting the ball, and obviously Jonathan Taylor is probably one of the best running backs in the league right now.
Yeah.
So I like the Colts to win this game. The 7 points is a little high. I'm gonna put like you. I'm gonna lay my wood on this. I'm gonna tell them. I'm gonna say that they're gonna win. +7, getting the 7 points, but they're gonna win outright here too. Excuse me. Sorry, still getting over that cold a little bit. The Bills were Parker's pick though, and I was insanely disappointed. He had a really hard time. He had a really hard time picking this one.
House
Man, you almost put the little guy up for adoption.
Put him outside. Put the little guy outside. He can sleep outside tonight.
He got over to both of them, and he was messing around, slapping both of them, and then he ended up picking up the Bills one. And I was sitting there with Chantal. I was like, no. But he has the Bills. I have the Colts.
You look over to Chantal. Is this even my baby?
This is not my son. It's the mailman's.
Next thing you know, you guys are on Maury.
Yeah, right. The lie detector proved that is a lie.
Listen, I got the Bills winning this game as well, and Puma, I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned about the Bills and who they are. Obviously, I understand they beat down the Jets, but everybody beats down the Jets, and I think that what was seemed as an easy schedule for the Bills could somewhat unravel down the stretch. You got some of these games coming up now. You've got the Saints on Thursday Night Football. You've got the Patriots, which is a game all of a sudden that is an easy win. You've got the Buccaneers. So I'm a little concerned for the Bills, and I've been waiting all year long for them to get right. But it seems like it's just taking forever. And I don't know if that's like a fundamental issue on what their offense is doing, or if it's like, a Josh Allen issue, if it's a coaching issue. I don't watch them enough to know all those details, but it's going to be imperative for them to win this game against the Colts, because it's like I said, it's not going to get easier. That Buccaneers game in December is going to be a big one as well. So I got the Bills winning, but I'm not very confident in that right now.